Hello, here we have different countries of Asia colored in different colors. Now let's see what forms of governments these countries have. Of course, there could be certain similarities when it comes to governance in different countries, and there could be certain differences as well when it comes to different forms of governance. So let's look at these differences and forms one by one. First, we'll try to see uh, the differences in government based on who heads the country or the state. By state, I mean here the country itself. So primarily, we can see that majority of the countries are orange colored. That is, they have republic form of government, and the other one that is in blue. Few countries have a bluish shade. Those have monarchy. Now, by republic, it means that the head of the country is elected by the people of the country itself. The word republic comes from two terms of uh, Latin origin, which means res publica, and that can translate in English to something that is concerned with the people. So here the head is something that is concerned with people, elected by the people, and the blue color that is monarch. These countries here we can see it is Japan in the east. Then there are in South Asia we have Thailand and Cambodia. In this Malaysia as well in Southeast Asia, and in the West Asia we have United Arab Emirates as well as Saudi Arabia and Oman, which are monarchy. Okay, so we have Kuwait as well, and there's Bhutan as well in South Asia, which are monarchy. Now, by monarchy, it means the head of the state is the king or queen of that particular country. Now, there are again differences, or we can say distinctions within monarchy based on whether the monarch is uh, selected based on heredity, or it is elected by a certain group of people, or maybe the monarch is just a constitutional head that is uh, uh, within the limits of the constitution. So these differences are there, which we'll see soon. Next, okay, just before we go ahead, we'll see all the republic countries. So majority of the countries in North Asia or the Central Asia as well as South Asia have a republic form of government, that is the head is selected by the people of the country. Now, when it comes to nature of the head, so here primarily we can say there are two forms of governance system, that is the presidential system of governance and the parliamentary system of governance. In presidential system, the executive, that is the people who execute the law, which includes the president, uh, they that is the executive is not related to the legislature, that is the body of people who enacts the laws, that is the parliament. So not responsible, that is the executive is not responsible to the parliament. It means the parliament cannot remove the president or the cabinet of ministers, or maybe the secretaries of different departments selected by the president from the government. They are independent unless the president commits an act which is unconstitutional in nature, and in that case the president may be removed by the parliament via a process called as impeachment. And in on the other hand, in case of parliamentary system of governance, the prime minister as well as the cabinet of ministers is responsible to the legislature, which means the acts and decisions taken by the prime minister and the cabinet are responsible to the legislature, and they can't just act as per their will. The legislature has the right, or the legislature can collectively pass a no confidence vote against the prime minister and the cabinet of minister, and thus remove them from the office. Whereas just a few minutes ago, that like I said, in form of presidential system of governments, this is not possible. In to summarize, in parliamentary system of governance, the executive is responsible to the parliament, whereas in presidential system of governance, the executive is not responsible. So there's a clear distinction between the executive and the legislature. And even when it comes to being the head, the president is head of the state as well as the government in presidential system, and in parliamentary system, the president of the country, if there is one, uh, is just the titular or ceremonial head of the country, whereas the prime minister can be said as the head of the government in parliamentary system. So if we just see few cases. Then here we can see India, Pakistan, Nepal, uh, Bangladesh, or even Kyrgyzstan, Georgia, Iraq, Japan. These have parliamentary system of government. And just a few minutes ago, we saw that Japan had monarchy and they still have parliamentary system. So, in this particular case, what will happen is the monarch will be there, but the head, the monarch, and the monarch is under the in the limits, we can say, of the constitution. That is, a monarch is not absolutely in charge, or does not have absolute powers to take decisions on own. So here we can see a particular case of distinction uh, where Japan has parliamentary system of government. Similar case is there in case of Cambodia and Thailand, which we saw had a monarchy in place. And in case of presidential system, we can see Indonesia, Philippines, the Philippines, South Korea, and these countries in the Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Turkey, and Yemen in West Asia have presidential system of governance. And there's another form of governance, that is a semi-presidential system, which we can say is largely in Russia and Mongolia, as well as Syria in the West Asia. And we even have Sri Lanka, where they have semi-presidential form of governance. Now, in this system, again the president is elected by the people of the country, but there's prime minister as well as president who are the executive heads of the government. And by that it means that there are certain powers which are in the hands of the president, that is executive powers, and there are other powers which are not with the president, those lie in the hands of the prime minister. And whether the prime minister is directly selected by the president, or say by the consensus of the parliament, or maybe the parliament together, that is collectively elect the prime minister, it varies from country to country. In Russia, the president itself elects or selects the prime minister uh, in consultation with the parliament. Now next we have we can see it's the power. Okay, so okay, before we go to power, we'll see one more form of distinction, that is we'll not go for each of these because some of them are overlapping, that is they are combined, but we'll see one by one. Now absolute, here we can say, means absolute means the total power or total rights, or the to take certain decision lies with that particular head itself. So when it comes to Saudi Arabia, we can say it is Islamic and absolute. We'll see the meaning of Islamic soon, but in case of absolute, what it means is the monarch of the country has the absolute power to take decisions related to the country, and the monarch is in this case not responsible to the government or any other bodies in the country. So if we see absolute, then there's Oman, one which also has monarchy, and here we saw Islamic and absolute. So that was Brunei in the Southeast Asia and Saudi Arabia in the West Asia. Now, on the lines of monarchy itself, I think if we take case of Japan, Japan had a monarchy, and here we see the form is constitutional. Now, by this, it means Japan has constitutional monarchy in place, and by constitutional monarchy, it means the monarch is the titular head of the country, but has to take decisions, or should function within the limits of the constitutional. A similar case applies to the monarch of UK as well, that is the king or the queen has to comply with the constitution, that is they have to take decisions, or uh, take any acts in consultation or in within the limits of the constitution itself. Similarly, okay, so we had seen that even Thailand had monarchy, and they too have a constitutional form of monarchy. Now next, okay, okay, so constitutional. Most of the countries in Asia have constitutional form of governance, be it monarchy or the republic. And by constitution, it means that there's a particular constitution, that is a set of rules to govern a country, and the people who govern the country, whether it is government or the head of the country, they need to abide by it. That is, they need to take decisions or act within the limits of the constitution itself. Now, there's a form of governance which is constitutional but Islamic in nature. Now, by Islamic, it means the government of that country will run by the Sharia law, and in certain countries such as Iran it is applicable, whereas in certain countries this point of being Islamic, it is just a we can say it is just symbolic in nature, that is it has to do with the cultural symbol or cultural identity of the country. On the other hand, these countries may not exactly be Islamic in nature, they may be somewhere in the between say somewhere in the middle of secular as well as Islamic, that is they don't apply the Sharia law in the country, but the respective constitution may be in act in those particular countries. Now we again see there's this another form of governance called as elective and constitutional, which is present in these countries, that is United Arab Emirates, Cambodia, Malaysia as well. So we here saw that United Arab Emirates, Cambodia, or Malaysia, they have a monarchy in place, and here we can see for in case of Thailand we saw that it was constitutional, whereas in case of Cambodia it is elective as well as constitutional. Now here elective means the monarch is not selected based on heredity, rather the monarch is elected, say it is elected by a certain group of people in the country, and not just all the citizens of the country. It is selected, the monarch is selected by a certain group of people. So Cambodia has elective and constitutional monarchy. It means the monarch is elected by the certain group of people and needs to function within the limits of the constitution. Same applies to Malaysia and I think to Singapore as well. Okay, yeah. Oh no, Singapore just has constitutional form of governance. They don't have elective monarchy. Now, in case of United Arab Emirates, a special case is there that uh, the UAE has a different emirates in place, and these different emirates are like different states, and they have their respective heads. And the country of United Arab Emirates together is formed, as the name says, with the union of these emirates, and the monarch that is elected is one of the governors or the heads of these emirates that comprise the United Arab Emirates. So that's why we can say even the UAE has elective and constitutional form of government. Now secular and constitutional. Few countries here in the Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan has secular as well as constitutional. And by secular, it means that the state in itself won't have any particular religion as official state religion, and in other words it means that, at least in principle, and in other words it means that uh, the state will treat people of all religion as well as no religion equally. That is, there won't be any form of distinction or different laws applicable to different people of different religions. So here these countries have a secular and constitutional form of governance. Now, on something a little opposite, we can say to the secular form of governance is confessionalist and constitutional. Or let's just leave the constitutional part aside for some time and focus on the confessionalist form of governance. Now, in the West Asia, we have Lebanon, which is confessionalist form of governance. In confessionalism, it is a form of government, we can say, that is a mix of religion and politics, and the political as well as the institutional powers of the government are distributed uh, proportionately, that is in proportion to the population of different religions in the country. So let's say if there are two religions which are majorly um, followed by the people of the country, say 50% of people are from religion 1 and 50% from religion 2, uh, then there should be certain proportional form of representatives in the government from the respective religion. So let's say if there are 100 people who are elected for the government, then 50 will be from religion 1 and 50 from religion 2. So this form of governance is called as confessionalism or confessionalist government. And the particular case of North Korea, we can say they have totalitarian form of government, which means even though they have in a way a republic, but it is totalitarian dictatorial form of government, which means the Kim dynasty, that is heirs of the Kim dynasty, have the absolute control over the country, and they solely take the decisions. That is, there's no one to ask them, or they are not responsible to the legislature or anything. So they have a totalitarian form of dictatorship in the country. Now the last form of distinction we can see is based on the distribution of power in the country. For that we just have two forms of government, as it is governance, that is unitary and federal. Unitary form of government, which we can say is across the middle of the Asia, be it in the east, in Japan, Korea, or in the west, or in the Central Asian countries. Unitary form of governance is prevalent, and it is also there in the Southeast Asia. By unitary form of government, it means that is there is only one government in the entire country. It is one central government that governs the entire country. That is passes laws and executes them. Whereas in case of federal form of governance, which is applicable to few countries in South Asia as well as Russia, it is a government which is decentralized in a way, that is the power is distributed across its division. By division I mean be it the states of the country or the provinces, based on what term is used in respective countries. So there is a respective state government within the country, state governments within the country, and one central government that lies at the capital of the country. Now in this system, there are certain subjects that lie in the hands of this center, such as defense or finance, and then there are certain subjects in which the respective state government can pass laws and execute them, maybe related to forest or the land use. It may again vary from country to country and state to state. And there are few other subjects we can say where both the central as well as state can enact laws. So these are forms of government where the power is decentralized, that is distributed across the country, is called federal form of governance. And the particular case of India is that it has a quasi-federal form of government, because the federal form, that is the federation, is not exactly uh, federal in nature. By that I mean, just a few minutes ago, like I said, the states don't have total independence when it comes to governance or all the matters. That is, certain powers are reserved with the center, and hence it is a quasi-federal form of governance. So these were the different forms of governance or the distinctions based on different factors, be it the head of the state, like we saw, there's a republic or monarchy, or the nature of the head, whether it is presidential, parliamentary, semi-presidential. And even in case of monarchy, where we can say it is null, it is not applicable. It could be say absolute monarchy, elective monarchy, or constitutional in nature, that is something within monarch is has to function within the limits of the constitution. And lastly, we had the power distribution throughout the country. So that was about different forms of governments in Asia.